Superintendent, St. City School District. I'm here to provide my regular summer update regarding our plans for the upcoming school year. I want to make sure my sound is working. I believe it is. So there are a couple of things that I want to just go over, my standard housekeeping reminders. First of all, I provide these updates twice a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 3 p.m. They are able to be viewed live on Zoom or on on Facebook, and you can access those links on our website at www.shaker.org. We do try to answer questions that people submit in advance, and I'll be doing that today. You are welcome to ask questions or provide comments during this update on our Facebook page or in the Zoom chat panel. However, just a reminder that we can't respond to those in real time. We do monitor those chat panels, however, and we'll respond at a later date. As many of you know, last week I announced our district plans for the upcoming school year. Today I'm going to review some parts of those plans, also let people know where things stand today or this week, and also answer some questions that have been submitted related to the upcoming school year. With that, I'm going to share my screen so I can share some slides here. All right, so some of the topics that I'll be covering today include a reminder of our guiding principles, how the county alert or the state health advisory levels relates to our school plans, more discussion around our start of the school year, talking a little more about what in-person learning will look like and what the Shaker Virtual Academy will look like, trying to answer some questions related to that. And then I'm going to go over some questions that people have submitted over the past few days and try to provide answers to those questions. All right, I've started many of our updates with these guiding principles, and this is just a reminder for everyone that as we've developed our plans for the upcoming school year, we have certainly kept some guiding principles in mind. First and most importantly, student and staff health and safety. Given where we are with COVID-19 in Ohio and in Cuyahoga County and within Shaker even more specifically, it is imperative that we maintain strong health and safety protocols and guidelines as we plan for the upcoming school year, since we know that the only way to create a positive learning environment is to first ensure that we have a safe learning environment. The district strategic plan, which rests on the two pillars of educational equity and the International Baccalaureate Framework, have also been guiding our work. As many of you know, the state has released a health advisory level system, really just to help counties keep track of the level of risk of the spread of COVID-19 within the counties. That's a 4-level system that the state has created, level 4 being the highest or worst level, and level 1 being the lowest or least riskiest level. Currently, Cuyahoga County is designated as a level 3. We have tied our school reopening plan or our plan for the upcoming school year with the health advisory levels. So just to review, if Cuyahoga County is designated as a level 4 or purple, then we anticipate that we will have remote learning for all students if we are at a level 4. If we're at a level 3 with a star, again, we will expect that all students are in a remote learning situation. If we are at a level 3, which is what we're at now, we will consider a phased-in return to in-person learning using the hybrid plans that we have developed. I want to be very clear about this because currently we are in a level 3. If we're in a level 3, then there is still a possibility that we will be in a remote learning environment. For example, if we were to start school this week, there is a possibility, I might even say a strong possibility, that we would be starting in a remote learning environment. The reason for that is because the level 3 numbers that we are currently seeing in Cuyahoga County, and more specifically in the Shaker Heights area, remain very concerning related to the spread of COVID-19. I also want to be clear, our employees have a right to a safe working environment. And we know that our Teachers Association, along with other collective bargaining units in our district, including OPSI and other collective bargaining units, have raised and shared concerns about the safety of our employees, our staff, as well as our students in any in-person learning environment. We're of course working to address those concerns, but those concerns are real. And we know that because of the current data that we're seeing in Cuyahoga County and in the state of Ohio. So I want to be transparent with our community about that. If the county is moved to a level 2 or level 1, then we will certainly consider ways to possibly expand in-person learning. I want to talk a little bit about the start of school. As many of you know, we have recommended to the board that we postpone the start of school for students by a few days, by 3 days, so that students would start school on Monday, August 24th, instead of on Wednesday, August 19th. We've also asked for there to be an added professional day on Friday, August 28th, so that teachers and staff can review how the first week went and make sure to revise any structures that need to be revised or reflect on any of those structures to make improvements moving forward. As I just mentioned, there is a possibility and a question remains about whether we will be starting school in person or in a remote setting. We hope to be able to make a determination regarding the start of school by the first week in August. We know that a lot hinges on this determination, both in terms of childcare at home and also in terms of our own planning purposes for course assignments, teacher placements, etc. So again, we hope to make a determination regarding the start of school by the first week in August. We are closely monitoring statewide data, county level data, and data that we have available to us within the district to monitor that decision and to make the most appropriate decision for the start of the school year. When in-person learning does begin, and this will be true if it starts on August 24th or later in the school year, it will likely start with a phased-in approach. Rather than bringing all students in at the same time, we have planned a phased-in approach. In the next slide, I'm going to share an example of what that phased-in approach could look like if we start school on August 24th for students. So a tentative phased-in start of school at the K-4 level would mean that kindergartners would start school in person on August 24th. Kindergartners, once they start school in person, the expectation is that they would stay in school. Students in grades 1 and 2 would start school in person on Wednesday, August 26th. August 28th, as I mentioned, is a professional day, so no students would be reporting that day. And then for students in grades 3 and 4, they would start school in person on August 31st. Again, this is assuming that we start school in person for the entire district on Monday, August 24th. If that takes place, then we would have a phased-in approach for students in grades K through 4. At Woodbury in the middle school, we would also have a phased-in approach to learning, to in-person learning. A-week students would come in person on August 24th and 25th. B-week students would come in person on August 26th and 27th. For those students, when they're not in person, they would be in a virtual learning environment. August 28th, again, would be a professional day. And the high school, as we mentioned before, would start with the 3/4 hybrid model. We've gotten some questions related to what in-person learning will look like at the K-4 level. As many of you know, the model that we're proposing is that K-4 students will come to school in person every day, those that choose not to sign up or enroll in the virtual academy. Our target class or pod size is 17 students at the maximum. We know that since there are some students who are already enrolling in the virtual academy, that we may be able to have less than 17 students in some or many of our classes. We also expect to maintain physical distancing of at least 4 to 6 feet. In cases where there is less than 6 feet of physical distancing, we are going to provide plexiglass dividers to provide an additional barrier or layer of health and safety protocols. I should add, and I think I know I made this announcement or update in my last summer update, that we do expect that all students and all staff wear masks or face shields when they are in an in-person learning environment. This is what a sample K-4 in-person schedule will look like. I want to highlight, and I know I mentioned this last time, that we are planning to have the start of school change for the start and end times for K-4 students change for this upcoming school year. Students would arrive between 8 and 8:15 at the K-4 level, and the school day will end at 2 o'clock. There will be some opportunities for targeted student support until 2:30. You'll see that this schedule includes a lot of time for literacy and math, but there are opportunities for activities or specials. We do know that it's going to be important that teachers move rather than students. So our schedule is based with that in mind, that we're minimizing the amount of transitions that students have during a school day. One question that we've gotten has been around recess and what that looks like at a K-4 level. That is something that we're still working on. Some of the things that we're considering related to recess. First of all, we want to make sure that we're maintaining health and safety protocols. We also recognize that physical distancing can be challenging or more challenging at recess. We know that some states or countries have used a pod within a pod model for recess. For example, if there are 12 students in a pod, maybe 3 of those students are designated as a recess pod, and those 3 students are able to play together during recess. And they're the only 3 students who can play together during recess. So there are groups of 3 students within a pod. We also recognize that recess, typically, when the weather is nice at least, happens outdoors. And so that's another factor in our decision-making process. But I do want to be clear that we're still working on what recess looks like. I want to spend a little bit of time going over the Shaker Virtual Academy. We have gotten a number of questions related to the Virtual Academy. So just to be clear, or just to remind everybody, the Shaker Virtual Academy is an online learning environment for students. It will be consistently online, so students will not come in person. We are asking that there's a minimum enrollment commitment of a semester. So if you're choosing to enroll in the Virtual Academy, expecting that you'll be enrolled in the Virtual Academy for at least a semester. The Virtual Academy will be operated by Shaker administrators. In fact, I'm excited to announce that our Lomond Assistant Principal, Tina McCauley, will be the lead administrator for the Shaker Virtual Academy. Ms. McCauley comes to the Shaker Virtual Academy with a wealth of experience. In addition to helping serve Lomond, she also has been the coordinator for our summer self programs and this summer's Jumpstart, Shaker Jumpstart program. So she has quite a bit of experience with unique learning environments and blended learning environments. I'm excited to share that because I really want everyone to know that we will have Shaker staff, Shaker administrators, Shaker teachers as part of the Virtual Academy. Kindergarten through 8 classes will also be taught by Shaker teachers. High school classes will be taught by Shaker teachers when possible. When that's not possible, we will have nationally recognized providers providing online learning options for our students, online learning courses for our Shaker Virtual Academy students. The Shaker Virtual Academy will include both synchronous and asynchronous learning opportunities. That means there will be times when you will be working directly with a teacher, and there will be times where you may have, a student may have an assignment or assignments that they're expected to complete or learning that they're expected to complete on their own, and then they will be going over that with a teacher or in an online course setting. Attendance will be taken. I should add, we're still working on exactly what attendance will look like over the upcoming year. Unlike in the spring, however, we do expect that more regular attendance will be taken, whether that's in the Shaker Virtual Academy or the in-person model, or if we are in remote settings, whether that's on a quote-unquote B week when students are out of school, or whether we're all remote. There are going to be more regular attendance requirements this upcoming school year. This is what a sample kindergarten through fourth grade Shaker Virtual Academy schedule looks like. You'll see that there's a class meeting from 8:30 to 9, and there is a range of both synchronous and asynchronous learning opportunities. Wherever you see an S in parentheses, that indicates a synchronous learning opportunity, and an A indicates an asynchronous learning opportunity. We have gotten some questions related to screen time and the Shaker Virtual Academy schedule. We know that that's a concern. We also recognize that in these unique times, it's important that we remain connected and are able to provide regular instruction to students, even when we're in a virtual learning environment. Here is a sample Shaker Virtual Academy schedule for grades 5 through 8. Again, you'll see that there is a range of synchronous and asynchronous learning opportunities. And you'll see that all the regular subject areas are included in this schedule. For more information about these schedules or the Shaker Virtual Academy or any other information that I've shared today, you are welcome to visit our website, www.shaker.org. You'll see that our 2020-2021 plan website is up and running, and it includes a great deal of information, a great deal more information, some of which I've shared today. So in my remaining time today, I would like to go through some questions that we've received. What we've done is we've reviewed the questions that have been submitted and identified what we think are the most commonly asked questions that we try to get to as many people as possible in terms of responding to questions. We do expect that in the near future, we will also be publishing a frequently asked questions page to help families answer questions related to the upcoming school year. All right, question number 1. When will we know assigned A or B or high school groups? And maybe a related question, will sibling groups be kept together on the same schedule within each grade band's hybrid plan? So I'll start with the first question. In terms of knowing assigned groupings, we hope to get that out in the relatively near future. One thing I do want to mention is that normally we try to provide teacher assignments and course placements at least a few days before the start of school year. We recognize that there are unique challenges this year. And so we are not we know that we will be able to get course placements and teacher assignments out before the start of the school year. We're not entirely sure yet when that will happen. I thank everybody for your patience in advance, because we know that that's going to be challenging. Regardless of the specific teacher assignments and course placements, we are hoping that we will be able to get A, B assignments and high school group assignments out earlier so that people can plan accordingly. In terms of the question related to sibling groupings, we are also hopeful that siblings who maybe are at different grade levels will be able to be kept in the same A or B rotation. We know that that's helpful for childcare and for family planning purposes. What will the student to teacher ratio look like in the Shaker Virtual Academy? The student to teacher ratio in the Shaker Virtual Academy will look very similar to what it normally does in a quote unquote normal school year without the pandemic, because we do not have to maintain physical distancing or specific pod sizes. We expect that the student to teacher ratio will be in line with pre-pandemic student to teacher ratios. What is the in-person plan for orchestra, band, and choir courses at the secondary level? And will these be offered in the Shaker Virtual Academy? So I'll start with the first question in terms of the in-person plan for orchestra, band, and choir. It's something we're still working on. We are getting closer to coming up with different models of what that could look like, particularly for band and choir. I'd like to thank our music department. I know they are working around the clock to share information, to collaborate with other music departments, and to come up with ideas that maintain the health and safety protocols that we know are important. I should also add here that we are expecting to have an announcement soon related to band camp. I know that there are some unique challenges that come with band camp this year. Again, I'd like to thank our music department for trying to consider all of our alternatives, but we do expect to have more information specific to band camp in the near future. Will the orchestra, band, and choir courses be offered in the Shaker Virtual Academy? We're not sure yet. Our hope is that we provide some kind of music and art experience for students in the Shaker Virtual Academy, and we're still working on what that might look like. How will the full virtual start or the remote weeks and days differ from the Shaker Virtual Academy? Great question. So I just want to make sure everybody's on the same page around what this question is asking. If we start in a full virtual or remote setting and are in that remote environment for a short or long extended period of time, how will that be different from the Shaker Virtual Academy? I can say that the remote learning environment and the Shaker Virtual Academy will be similar, but will not be exactly the same. The reason for that is because the remote learning environment is built off of our hybrid model. And so there are some things that we need to be able to do in order to flexibly go back and forth between a remote learning environment and an in-person learning environment. For example, the start of the school day may look a little different, or the ways that synchronous learning happen in a remote learning environment might be different than in the Shaker Virtual Academy. That said, we know that they will be similar, and we want to make sure that students in the Shaker Virtual Academy or students in the in-person or remote learning environment have similar educational experiences. For that reason, our lead administrators and folks who are working on work in the work groups that are developing the Shaker Virtual Academy are closely collaborating with our administrators and members of work groups who are working in the brick and mortar school settings, so that the learning environment, the education or the educational offerings, and the kinds of learning opportunities that students have, whether they're in our quote unquote regular schools or in the Shaker Virtual Academy, will be similar. All right, this question asks, children frequently have coughs and runny noses. Will they need to stay home every time they have a cough? If so, when can they return to school? You know, I know in pre-pandemic times, many of us were flexible in terms of when we sent our children to school, even if they had minor coughs or other potential illnesses or symptoms. This year, we ask our families to be exceptionally diligent in keeping students home if you have any reason to suspect that they have any symptoms that align with COVID-19. This is especially important because we know that there are symptomatic carriers of COVID-19 and there are asymptomatic carriers of COVID-19. So the more we can do to minimize the risk of exposure and the spread of COVID-19, the better. When can students return to school? As always, and this is true when you're making the determination about whether to send a child to school, we encourage families to work with your pediatrician or other medical experts to determine when they can return to school. So far, the state has not released any specific guidance, either the state or the Ohio Department of Health or the Cuyahoga County Board of Health, in terms of a number of negative tests or anything like that that students must have completed in order to return to school. But we do ask that you consult with a medical professional in order to make that determination. Several parents I know want help with donations for PPE, personal protective equipment, necessary equipment, etc. How can we help? Thank you to our community for all their support. We really do appreciate it. There are a couple of ways that you can help. First of all, I strongly recommend reaching out to our Shaker Schools Foundation, since they help to coordinate donations, whether those are financial donations or other types of donations, to provide resources and support to our school district. For questions related specifically to personal protective equipment, you are welcome to reach out to our Business and Operations Office. Mr. Jeff Grossi is our Chief Operating Officer, and his contact information can be found on our website. But again, I recommend starting with our Shaker Schools Foundation, and our Executive Director, Holly Coughlin, can put you in touch with the right people. So I just wanted to start closing today's update with some upcoming information. We'll be providing another summer update this Thursday, July 23rd at 3 p.m. I also want to remind our families that we will be hosting a child care forum tomorrow at noon and at 7 p.m. This is an opportunity to discuss child care resources and other ways we can support families during this pandemic, particularly when we are in a remote or virtual learning environment. I know that there are lots of families who have questions. I've gotten many questions myself. I know our principals and other school district leaders are getting lots of questions related to the upcoming start of the school year. We know there are lots of questions, some of which we have answers for and some of which we're working on. You are welcome to visit www.shaker.org for the most up-to-date information. As I mentioned earlier, we will also be publishing a frequently asked questions website in the very near future. In the meantime, I ask everybody for your patience and forbearance as we continue to work through the many details for the upcoming school year. And thank you as always for your input, your questions, your suggestions, and your support. I look forward to seeing you soon, and I hope everyone has a great day. Thank you.